Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broaden our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and as usual, I am here with Jason.
Hey, everyone.
What is up, my dude?
Hanging out there, watching some movies, you know. Now I'm ready to talk about said movies.
Living the dream.
Yes, living the dream of watching films. Which, actually, yeah.
That is a good dream, yeah. I'm cool with that.
It's good to have, like, you know, achievable goals in life.
It is. If you set achievable goals, you'll reach them. And then have the satisfaction.
It's like, motherfucker, I just want to watch movies.
We're talking about The Grifters today from 1990. Directed by Stephen Frears. With some heavy production and involvement by Martin Scorcese.
That name sounds familiar. What's that dude done?
A name you might recognize. We'll get into. So he's pretty instrumental in this movie happening, it turns out.
Yeah.
But before all that, we're going to talk about what we've been watching. I have the other half of my AVP marathon to get into. And we're part of the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, and we love it. And there's all these other cool shows you could be checking out. So swing by our podcast network page, look at all the other shows, find you some cool stuff to listen to help pass the time, whether you're commuting to work or sitting at a boring office job like I used to. And
yeah, because if you can't achieve your goal of watching movies, you could at least perhaps listen to other people talk about the movies they've watched.
Which is a valid activity because you count it as research.
That's
right. Finding more movies to watch.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well said.
All right, what have you been watching?
Okay, I got a few I've been watching. I've been trying to watch more movies.
Hell yeah.
I checked out Last Straw.
Last Straw.
From 2023. Mm-hmm. Directed by Alan Scott Neal. This is considered a horror thriller. Some people say it's a slasher. Not really a slasher, but basically a small town killing spree lands on the doorstep of a rural diner where a young waitress must fight for her life over the course of one long night.
Oh, so the title's a pun.
Sure is.
Wow.
And normally this is the sort of movie I really, really dig. And I like the first two acts.
Okay, sure.
Then it kind of falls apart at the end for me.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it doesn't really land it.
And not really a slasher?
Not really. I mean, there's killings, there's slashings, but I would not call it a slasher.
Okay.
The performances are really good, but it's one of those movies where you don't really like any of the characters. And which normally isn't a problem for me, you know, but it's, I don't know, it feels, I don't know, the third act just doesn't work for me.
Okay. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it either.
It's pretty new.
And it's not a bad movie, it's worth watching. I think I gave it 2.5 stars. So it's an average rating, it's fair. And maybe the ending won't bug you as much as it bugged me.
Where'd you watch it?
I streamed it via Shudder.
Ooh, Shudder.
As I do most of my watchings,
nice.
It seems. But if you like low budget, somewhat tense thrillers, you know, kind of set in one location, which I love, you might want to give it a try. Jeremy Sisto's in it. He doesn't have a big part, but he's in it.
So it's no Blood Diner, but
it is no Blood Diner, sir.
Few films are when you think about it.
No, there's only one Blood Diner. I also got around to watching a movie that's been on my list for a while, from 2022, The Coffee Table.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah. And Michael, if you're watching, for the love of God, do not watch this movie.
Uh-oh. I'm hinting whiffs of child death.
Yes. But basically it is directed by K.A. Casas. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Jesus and Maria are a couple going through a difficult time in their relationship. Nevertheless, they have just become parents. To shape their new life, they decide to buy a new coffee table, a decision that will change their existence.
Okay. I'm into this one.
Yeah, this is actually a really good movie. I liked it a lot. It is so fucking dark. And it does kind of veer into black comedy, but it's blacker than black, you know. The IMDb calls it a comedy. They say comedy, drama, horror. But I mean, it is one of the blackest comedies I've ever seen in my life.
Ooh, okay. I have to put that on my watch list.
It has a lot again, one location, basically, this people's apartment. Because the husband buys this coffee table. It's this really hideous coffee table. The wife doesn't want it. He fights for it. He's like, you never let me have anything.
You know, it sounds a lot like that short that the Milk and Cereal dudes did. Was it The Chair?
Yeah, I never actually watched that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the same kind of thing. He buys it, and the girlfriend hates it and wants him to get rid of it. And
interesting.
Then weird paranormal things happen.
Interesting. I'll have to go back and watch that now.
Cool. Yeah. Fuck that.
But the acting is really good in this. It's another movie that's kind of full of mostly unlikable people, but then you kind of soften up to them as things progress. Mm-hmm. It's something you can't say much about. I mean, the inciting incident, yes, does involve a child. I mean, this is what sets up the whole movie, so it's not really a spoiler. It involves the child and the coffee table.
I think I can put that one together.
You can put it together.
You know, coffee tables, kind of dangerous when you think about it. They can be.
And this is like the glass top.
Oh, shoosh.
Which is weird, because you came in today, and I have this glass shelf of our bar/TV stand just shattered last night. Mm-hmm. I think it was due to the storm.
Yeah, we had storms so bad that like walls were rattling at my house.
Right, yeah. So like it reminded me of the coffee table. I'm like, well, you know, at least my cats are okay. So anyway, I recommend the coffee table. It is streaming on Shudder.
Cool.
Check that one out. You need to know what you're getting into, though. So if you are a parent, especially of like a young child, especially a newborn, don't just skip. But if you're like me and just kind of love that whole wallowing in black comedy and darkness,
come back about 15 years when you're sick and jaded of said child.
Right.
And this movie will be waiting for you to enjoy.
The other one I watched, the last one I'll talk about, is Heroes Shed No Tears.
Oh, it sounds like a Hong Kong film.
It does indeed. It is a early John Woo. Well, considering John Woo started like in the 70s, I guess it's not that early, but it came out. It was his movie before Better Tomorrow.
Ah, so before he was like,
yeah,
the guy.
Yeah, but this is an action film, as the title may clue you into. But it's basically about this group of Chinese soldiers that are tasked with they're kind of like the A-team. They're kind of tasked to go in and get this colonel who's like running drugs and shit.
Okay.
Out of Thailand. So the whole movie is them trying to get him out.
Cool.
And it's basically just...
And then the Predator shows up.
The Predator shows up. And then these other guys are after them. It's a dumb plot, but it's a good action movie plot.
Hey, and they don't have to be complex.
Yeah, and you see some little hints of what John Woo would do. Like there's some interesting camera work here and there.
Any like fancy stunts kind of thing?
Nothing crazy. Okay. I mean, there's some good fire stunts and a lot of people being shot up on pneumatic catapults. A little bit of like some kung fu action because Woo did cut his teeth directing kung fu films. It's fun. I mean, it's pretty gory, even for a John Woo movie. Because usually you get like lots of squibs and stuff with a John Woo flick, but this one has like it just gets a bit more intense here and there.
Cool.
Even has nudity, which is kind of unusual for a lot of John Woo movies.
Okay.
But I recommend it. This one is on Arrow. It's streaming on Arrow right now.
I must have a disc on the way or already out.
I would imagine. It looks pretty good too. Even streaming, it looked pretty good. And it just really, really makes me want a good, available, affordable copy of the Better Tomorrow films, at least on Blu-ray. 4K would be nice. I saw this 4K set. I think it's actually from China, but it's going for like $200.
Yeah, it's pricey films. I mean, we have to be getting close. There's so much of around that's been licensed recently or like remastered. But
it's like every one of his other movies, at least post Better Tomorrows, are available. Mm-hmm. But you just really can't find a good copy of A Better Tomorrow anywhere.
It's got to be close. Someone's got to be working on it.
I hope so, because, man, it's so fucking good. So, that's what I have been watching.
Cool.
Overall, some good selections.
I like it.
How about yourself?
Well, let me cap off my Alien vs. Predator marathon. Last time you heard the Predator side and the AVP part mixed in, because it meshes better over there.
Speaking of Predators, the movie we're talking about today is produced by Miramax.
Yeah, I did notice that when it came on, and I said, "Oh, sheesh, I bet that guy was involved."
But don't worry, the movie Dustin's talking about is the fun kind of Predator.
Yeah.
He's the nicer Predator.
Yeah. So we kick things off with 2012's Prometheus. Ridley Scott's triumphant return to the franchise, / expansion of the mythos, / pretty damn enjoyable film, if you ask me.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was your initial reaction
Pretty
to this?
hot shit mess, if you ask a lot of people. I've always liked Prometheus, right from the jump. Just the fucking intro of like the engineer landing and like spawning life. I was like, oh man, this is like doing fucking big brain stuff here.
Right.
Just love the huge scope, love like the trajectory of it all, of like figuring out the origins of humanity and who made us, and if we were made by another creature, then like what's their deal, what's their angle, what are they doing? So I love all of that, and I love that you get this like proto early version of the Wayland Corporation before they've merged and become kind of the sinister snowball that they are in the Alien franchise. And rewatching all of these, a lot of the start of this feels very much like the start of Alien vs. Predator, because you have an aging Wayland CEO. He's wanting to do this big investigation of this thing that's going to like explain a lot about the origins of humanity. Just instead of going to a pyramid in the Arctic Circle, they're going to another planet that they've detected a thing from. And dude, it's just so cool and so good. And like the first part of it's like probably the strongest, just the build up and the slowness of them like getting there, landing on the planet, establishing everything, establishing the characters and their motivations and all that cool stuff. And then it starts to get a little shaky because we get the whole like these are supposed to be the best of the best, and they're doing like really stupid shit,
like petting strange alien creatures,
throwing their helmets off the second they get the signal that the air is breathable.
Yeah, getting lost in the maze even though they just mapped it.
And I get that sucks, and it kind of does diminish it a little bit, but also like, what other film exists in this franchise where that hasn't happened? Like that's always like an element of these films. Like people make dumb mistakes and then that snowballs. So it doesn't really like hang me up as much as I guess most people like. I know some people, they watch it and they get to like when they're in the ruins exploring and they just shut down because they're like, this is too fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, even scientists can be dumbasses, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes in their genius, they forget basic common things. Yeah. There you go. And then, of course, love everything with David and setting up the
best character
initial of the androids. And
this movie.
You get the fact that, like, you know, he doesn't have all of the like protections in place that they used for the later models.
Yeah.
So he's much more free thinking. And then Noomi Rapace as Elizabeth Shaw, great main character. She really goes through the shit in this film, though. You know, between her husband just getting poisoned for the sake of seeing what the black goo does, and
I love all the mutations that people go through.
And it's cool, and I like that it's varied and so different, and that like some people it just like fucking kills them because their body couldn't support it.
Yeah.
And then some people they like Hulk out and go crazy. Other people they spawn like a new creature that then grows and spawns more. It's freaking cool. I just really like it. Love the vibes, love the tones.
And the whole abortion sequence is that's an all-timer.
That is like one of the greatest scenes in the franchise. Yeah. Like even the way they set it up where they're exploring that one part of the ship and they're like, oh, you have like an auto med pod over here.
This does its own operations.
It can do its own operations by command.
I wonder if this will come in handy later.
We didn't think we would need it, but you know, it's the top of the line. And just the fact that she gives herself an abortion with it, and then it's just such a crazy scene. And then even that we get to see...
I guess technically it's a C-section.
Yeah.
We should probably call it.
Sure.
But whatever.
Just technically it lives.
It sure does.
And then some of the other things too, like once David figures out the ship and they think like they're going to bring Mr. Wayland to speak to the last surviving engineer, and then he just fucking
rips his head
like
off.
falls out and starts killing everyone. It's just like, no, there's no negotiations.
And I liked it a lot more when I rewatched it a few years later than I did when I first saw it. But especially if you just sort of like, forget about those little hang-ups, like petting the space cobra and stuff like that.
My thing is they've always done dumb stuff, so let it slide. And then just that cool, like haunting ending of it's just Shaw and David left, and they've got the engineer ship, and they're like, well,
let's go find out what happened.
Let's go trace it back further and figure this out. And it left you with so much promise for what was to come.
Yeah.
And then we'll roll into the next film, 2017's Alien Covenant, also directed by Ridley Scott. Long gap to wait after Prometheus.
Yeah.
And then this was our promise that this was going to resolve everything left with Prometheus and then thread us through into the Alien franchise. And it proceeded to do none of that.
I mean, it did follow up on what happened after Prometheus, but in a very truncated...
Not in the way you wanted.
Mostly although I really do like the massacre of the engineers. I love that David just, like, fucking kills them all. That's great.
It's a great swerve in that, like...
Yeah.
She is so focused on, like, the answer, and then he's like, I don't care about the fucking answer.
Yeah, they're trying to kill us. Fuck, we're going to kill them.
So what's good about this film, though, I think the premise, the concept of there's, like, a colony mission, and we get to see all of the things of, like, how the colony ships work, and how they would scout a location and set up a camp. Again, I mentioned last time I'm currently playing a campaign of the Alien tabletop RPG, and that's basically the setup we've done with our campaign, is that we're, like, a colony ship that's been like misdirected and landed on another planet and are trying to like make the best of it. And so I think that's just a great start, and it builds a lot of drama. Where it starts to mess up is like, I don't know if you've looked at much of the deleted scenes with Covenant, but like
I'm not.
It's a long film anyways, but then they cut a lot too. And there was all these scenes at the start with more of the crew interacting that really like humanized them better, kind of more like how the first Alien was.
That's one of my complaints about the movie. I don't really care about the cast, the characters that much.
Yeah, you don't get the time to learn anything about them, and then they go on to make like probably some of the all-time worst, stupidest decisions of the franchise.
Yeah.
And you're not humanized to them at all, so you're just like, fuck these people.
Yeah.
Why were they picked for this mission?
Right.
Because you got the chick with like the gun shooting around explosives in their little like prefab, and
they're on an alien planet they haven't even investigated at all, and not wearing any sort of environmental gear.
And then you know the dude like just shoving his face down the egg once it opens.
Yeah,
David's like, hey, I want you to look in there, and he's like, oh, whatever, sure.
Sure, creepy android
evil
dude we don't
dude
trust.
that I literally saw protecting one of the monsters a second ago, but okay, yeah, why not? Let me do that. And so it's dumb, and then it gets more dumb because like you find out the scope of like David basically salted the premise of what Prometheus 2 was going to be, because he's like, whatever, fuck everyone else, I'm better. Kills Dr. Shaw off screen, uses her for experiments. Has been refining the black goo to try to perfect it for more, suggesting he maybe made the xenomorphs, but not really. I don't know why they tried to push that angle at all.
The whole problem of this is trying to even explain the xenomorphs.
Yeah.
There's no point in explaining their origin.
And then a lot of it too, like the main chick, what's her name? Danny, I think's the name of her character.
Yeah, I think so.
She kind of just feels like a paper thin Ripley. Like she never gets established as her own person too much. And the most interesting bits really is the android again, which is Walter, who's like a newer model of David with more of the protections in place.
Well, it's better than one Michael Fassbender? Two Michael Fassbenders.
And having them do a weird kind of homoerotic scene with one another involving a flute.
Yep, absolutely.
Which, you know, I will have to backtrack on some of my feelings, because I thought the flute thing was like so dumb when I saw it in theaters. And I didn't realize that the flute is like how the engineers controlled everything.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like obsessed with the flute, because he learned how to do all their shit.
Yeah.
So that's watching them back to back. I did see like, oh, that actually is.
It makes more sense.
More gelled than what it seems out of place otherwise.
And although I agree with you, this movie is a mess. I really do love that ending, though.
The ending's cool. Very sinister, very dark.
Yeah.
Apparently, the role-playing game book like acknowledges the ending, and all it really adds to it is just like the ship went off and was never heard from again, which is probably about all you need to say.
Yeah. Poochie died on his way back to his home planet.
Yeah. Brings us to 79's original Alien, all-time Stone Cold classic. Perfect film. What can you say?
One of the best movies ever.
One of the best movies ever made.
Stop, you know?
Works perfectly as a horror film or as a sci-fi film. Incredible design. Incredible effects. Just everything.
It's perfect. It's a perfect film. Yeah. Even has a good orange boy that survives to the very end.
It does, yes. Jonesy. Do you have a feeling about the like extra cut with the extra footage? Do you have a thought on that?
I think it's unnecessary.
Yeah. I think that the egg morphing scene is like fucking horrifying, but I also think it's not necessary.
Yeah, it's completely not necessary.
I watched it this time with the theatrical cut because
I prefer the theatrical cut. Yeah.
That brings us to Alien Romulus, next in the timeline from last year. I like it. I still like it. Going back, I still think it's pretty solid. Probably the best sequel other than Aliens. Just back to basics. I like that they showed us more of what life's like on a mining planet.
Yeah.
Because frequently when you go through all these back-to-back, you notice like you're always just on the ship already. Like in the shit or in like a space station.
It's nice to see how people actually live.
It's nice to see normal life, and again, I love the weird like hybrid they get to at the end. I know that put a lot of people off, but I think it was a nice way to go back and acknowledge the Prometheus stuff without like allowing it to overrun everything.
Yeah, it was a little too Alien 4 for me.
I like Alien 4. We'll get to that in a minute.
Weirdo.
But yeah, super solid. I would love to see what they go like from Romulus into. Who knows? Okay. Then 86, Aliens.
Another Stone Cold fucking classic.
Stone Cold classic, perfect film.
One of the best movies ever made.
Takes everything you had about Alien, ups the ante, swings it into the action genre a little more.
Doesn't try to just do the same thing. Goes in a new direction.
Great fucking cast. I forgot how awesome like just the complement of Marines.
Yeah.
Even the ones that aren't very developed much, you still get like so much character just from the way they're playing them.
And it's endlessly quotable. I mean, how many quotes came from this movie? You know.
And I really forget about like the time they spend in the start where it's just Ripley on the space station, kind of orienting herself to life again.
It's like almost an hour before we even get to the planet.
It's a really good amount of like story building there. I did watch the director's cut on this one. I think that is the superior version.
I do too, especially the scene with her daughter and everything. Yeah. She learns that her daughter's dead. That's kind of important to her motivation later. Yeah. You know, with Newt and everything.
It threads that through a lot better.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you play video games, there is Alien Isolation, which tells the story of her daughter and some of the misadventures that she went on, if you want to follow up on that. And then that brings us to 92's Alien 3, David Fincher's big swing, and most will say a miss. I'm actually surprisingly okay with this one, as long as it's the other cut, whatever they call
it.
The assembly cut.
I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen this movie at all since it came out.
The extra scenes make it mesh a lot better and have more of a theme to it than just kind of the randomness that it seems like in the theatrical cut. It makes a lot more sense that the alien is birthed from the like herd beast that they have on the planet instead of a random dog.
Although the footage they cut with the shot of the tests with the dog with like the alien mask, this is too cute. You know, it's like this is creepy. This is cute.
He is the goodest boy, and I'm sure he was handsomely rewarded for his time.
That alien's just gonna lick you to death.
But yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. I like the big twist at the end that there's like the dude from the Wayland Corporation who's like the base model. Yeah. That's so cool. I mean, it's an epic fucking ending that she like dives, and you know, it's very Terminator 2-esque.
Yeah, and I really wish her story had stopped there.
Great ending. I do, again, the assembly cut, I like it better that she just drops in there and dies than in the theatrical where they have the queen like bust out of her chest last moment before they hit the lava.
Right.
Prison Planet idea is cool, but a lot of it's like, who cares?
I just think it was the complete wrong direction to go after aliens. Killing off Newt and Hicks off screen. I mean, it's just cruel. You know,
it hits hard. But you got to say, Sigourney Weaver with the bald head, that look is like super iconic.
Sure. Yeah.
Really cool. And then that brings us to currently the furthest in the timeline you can go, 97's Alien Resurrection. Just the most fucking unhinged madman film ever made. I mean, it is directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
What is it with these French guys and their science fiction
Which
films?
I don't know. Did you ever see The City of Lost Children?
No.
Fucking bonkers film that I love. And that energy is all over this movie because it's like, we're 200 years later. Tech is like super advanced more. And it's all centered around like, oh, if we can clone this DNA we have of Ripley when she had the embryo, we can get the queen again and start this all up.
See, and in retrospect, looking at all the other movies made, I don't know why they're having such a hard time finding aliens because apparently they're all over the fucking place. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to hate this movie, man. It's got Ron Perlman as like a badass mercenary. Winona Ryder is like the leader of the mercenaries, also an android, also sexy as hell in this film.
Yeah, she doesn't do it for me in this movie.
Oh, God, I
don't like her character at all.
Hell yes. I'm going to stand for Cal.
Okay.
Dude, it's just fucking awesome. And over the top.
Never cared for it.
I like that, so what is she's Ripley 7, I want to say, right?
I think.
Ripley 8, one of those. I like that she has the weird like connection now with them where her DNA is like merged with the queen. Mm-hmm. So she can like sense them and know where they are and they kind of react to her. The Offspring, really cool design. It's a decision they made before all of the Prometheus and Black Goose stuff, but in retrospect now it kind of meshes better. That's like, here's the inversion where human DNA fucked with the queen.
You're mixing genes and
so
like
now
that.
she's like birthing an organism. And I fucking love the way it dies, where they crack that window and it starts to like vacuum everything out.
It's blowing out.
And he gets like stuck to it and then sucked out through the window.
Yeah.
Fucking epic special effect moment in a movie that is kind of shaky with some of its CG at times. And, I mean, my thing is there's not an alien film that I like utterly hate. Even Covenant, I felt stronger about it this time on the rewatch just because I was like, a lot of this is shit, but there are like cool parts about it and fun moments, and I don't know. I just love this franchise. So
okay, I mean, as far as long-running franchises go, it probably is one of the better ones.
I think pound for pound, film for film, like it's delivered at least a little enjoyment with every film.
I mean, it is better than the witchcraft movies. This is true.
I mean, we don't know that. Have we actually watched all?
I've seen the first one.
Okay.
That could be a fun endeavor. Watch all, what are there, like fucking 12 of them?
See, I want them on a disc, and there's just not a release of them.
Really?
There's not even like a good like bootleg.
They can't cost very much. Surely the rights to those aren't that expensive.
And I want to know, I want my witchcraft box set. And then we'll review them.
Oh, God. It might go insane.
But yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
It was a super fun marathon. I'm hyped now to continue playing the Alien role-playing game. And looking forward to whatever.
Character will probably die horribly next time.
Probably will. He's kind of a jackass, like ex-Marine that's a pilot now. So
you're the first to go.
I sit around with like aviator sunglasses on and just like make snark remarks. So
excellent.
Yeah. So I guess that brings us to our movie. So today we're talking about The Grifters, 1990, directed by Stephen Frears. I'll hit you with a synopsis.
Do it.
A small-time con man has torn loyalties between his estranged mother and new girlfriend, both of whom are high-stake grifters with their own angles to play.
Indeed. Now, you have not seen this movie before.
I had not, no.
Yes. And I saw it when it came out back in the day and liked it a lot. And I don't think I ever watched it again. But it's one of those movies, I see some movies, and as we found out with my best friend's exorcism, I will forget all about them the next year. But some just stick with me for some reason. And this is one of those movies that's always kind of like in the Rolodex in my head.
Oh, okay.
Of just...
kind of a Moonlight Mile.
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah.
Okay.
Midnight Mile.
Midnight Mile.
Yeah.
Sure.
Moonlight Mile is something else. But yeah, it's like Midnight Mile over the Reflecting Skin. Another good one. A good example. So anyway, yes. Please proceed.
What genre is this?
Man, this has got a little bit of everything. According to IMDb, it is tragedy, crime, drama, thriller.
Sure.
I like to throw in neo-noir in that as well.
Yeah, I wanted to contest the neo-noir thing until I got to thinking about it more. And I think... I guess when we use that as a term, neo-noir really just means noir that was made after the classic era.
Right.
So I guess it's hard to ascribe like qualities that those films should have.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to be about shady characters doing shady shit and morally gray situations. It doesn't have that sort of, dark palette that you associate with noir, but... it definitely has this feel and the music. I love the music to this. You don't like the music?
You love the music to this?
I love the opening title theme anyway.
Okay.
There are some other cues I'm not as happy about. I agree. They're a little too up.
Yeah, I thought that the whole score was like very punched up, and it made me think it was the score for like a comedy or like a parody.
I can get that. Some of the motifs are a little too happy-ish. But like the main title theme and stuff is such a throwback to like something from the 60s.
Which it was composed by Elmer Bernstein.
Yeah. So there's a lot I like, but I also understand your criticism.
Recognize that.
But it's definitely an old Hollywood type score.
It does have an old Hollywood vibe to it. Oh, no way. Wow, this guy worked on a lot of stuff. Ghostbusters, Airplane.
Yeah, I hear Ghostbusters in this movie.
An American Werewolf in London, Cape Fear. Wow. Okay.
It has some similar motifs as Ghostbusters does, which is why it sounds like a comedy.
It's got quite the storied catalog there of compositions.
Yeah, so a good composer, whether or not you like this score.
So I will revise my comment to say that I don't think it fit the film.
Okay. Fair enough. But we start with an opening quote from the movie, or from a song, actually, from Lady and the Tramp. And the quote itself,
how do you feel about Lady and the Tramp?
The Disney movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no feelings about that movie. Zero feelings.
Wow. Okay.
Well, what about you? What do you think?
It's all right.
I have very little patience for Disney movies.
I feel like there's stronger Disney films.
When I was a kid, like I enjoyed them okay. You know, like Sleeping Beauty, Fox and the Hound, stuff like that. Cool, but I don't find any real rewatchability now, other than the fact that they are important movies, especially the early ones, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, all that. But I just don't. It's not for me.
Cool.
So the quote is, "I've wined and dined on mulligan stew and never wished for turkey, as I hitched and hiked and grifted too from Maine to Albuquerque." From The Lady Is a Tramp. I'm sorry. I misquoted the name of the song. Anyway. I have a feeling you didn't like this movie.
Guess what? We'll find out as we go. But I got some strong feelings about it.
Okay. Okay. Man, you're weird. Okay, anyway. So we open with some narration we don't really need.
Yeah.
That's one of my few quibbles with the movie. We don't need this opening narration because it never comes back. And it's just kind of telling us what we can kind of already infer.
Yeah.
But it starts with Anjelica Huston's character, Lily Dillon, going to bet on the ponies.
Yep, she works for like a bookie that works in the mob named Bobo Justice.
Yeah, we'll meet him later, Pat Hingle.
We'll meet him later.
But basically what she's doing is she's making large bets on long shot odds to decrease that.
Yes. Which in the long term is making the mob a bunch of money.
Right. And
of which she gets a small cut, of which she also gets an additional cut because we see her take an extra piece out and hide it in the trunk of her car.
Yeah, she's got this whole thing underneath the carpet of the back of her trunk, and hidden compartment where she has a bunch of dough. Yeah. And then we get like this three-way split screen going on here. It's like a De Palma film all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's cool because it does the two-way split at first. And I was like, oh, okay, De Palma, all right, cool. Yeah. And our next person we see is Roy Dillon.
Played by John Cusack.
And he is sort of like a small-time grifter.
Yeah.
That just does like a little sleight of hands or tricks on people. His favorite is to do this like little thing at the bar where he holds up a 20, and then when he slaps it down, he slides it back up his hand and has a 10 instead.
Yeah.
But gets the change for a 20.
Right.
Cool. He apparently actually went and worked with people to be able to do that trick himself.
Yeah. I read that he tried it on the bartender he usually went to, and it worked. And,
yeah. So I like that he was very devoted to the bit.
Annette Benning's character, we meet her.
Yes, we get a third split in the screen.
Third
We're going a whole other person extra added in now. We're innovating on the De Palma move.
This is Maya Lantry, played by Annette Benning. She's going into a jewelry store.
And she's got a very expensive piece that she's looking to sell.
Well, she thinks it's expensive. Claims it's expensive.
Yeah. But the jeweler unfortunately informs her that
it's glass.
While the platinum that the band is made of is real, the actual jewels are just glass. And he teaches her how she can identify diamonds, and then she starts trying to put the moves on them to still make a sell.
Yep, which apparently works.
Yeah.
But I do like how efficiently this movie kind of introduces the characters.
Sure.
Man, you're going to fight me this entire time, aren't you?
We get their main, I guess, motivation and what they're doing.
Sure. But also how they go about, we see that Lily is, taking some money off the top. We see that Myra uses her sexual wiles. That's kind of her angle. And Cusack is... Because he also cons a guy at the bar. He sees a dude lining up dimes or nickels.
Yep.
And he says, I bet you can do that with quarters. And the guy says, yeah, I can. And he says, okay. And then he says, I'll give you a dime for every quarter And the guy's like, okay, watch this. And then he lines up like 10 quarters and he gives him $1 and scrapes up all the quarters. I told you I'd give you a dime for every quarter.
But he does, we see like there's a limit to his ability, because then he tries to con another bartender, gets caught, and gets like fucking exploded in the stomach.
Yeah, I love this scene because the bartender, who's this big brawny dude anyway, I wouldn't fuck with him. He grabs Cusack's hand, Roy's hand, and Roy can't get away, and he sees the guy reaching for something, and then Roy just kind of lifts up his arm above his head, but he brings out this little club, and then he just like jabs him right in the stomach,
And he crashes into a jukebox, the jukebox breaks, the music stops.
Yep.
It was pretty nasty.
Yeah. And outside he's like hunched over his car, some cops stop, and he tells him that he's just sick, but he's dressed nicely. Like, he looks respectable.
And we learned that he's allegedly, was it a matchstick salesman?
Yeah, allegedly. Everyone needs matchsticks. And the cops are like super nice to him too. They're like, we'll take you to the hospital if you need, you know? He's like, no, I'm fine.
That's when we realized that this is a fictional film, because that's not what would happen.
Well, if he wasn't an upstanding looking white dude, you know, maybe that would happen. But, you know, if he was of a darker complexion, he probably would have gotten his ass kicked for no good reason.
Unfortunately.
Let's see what we're doing here. Okay.
And so then he heads back to his apartment. We get a little establishing thing about like the dude who works the counter at the apartment.
the concierge guy.
He's very up in everyone's business.
Yeah.
He's also slightly misogynistic.
Little misogynistic. Little racist.
Running his mouth about everyone. And
yeah, he's one of those old dudes that's into everyone's business and shit. And we also find out that Lily works for Bobo Justice, and she gets a phone call, and she's supposed to go to La Jolla next. And she's like, I may swing by LA for a while.
Visit my son.
Yeah. But yeah, we bracket Roy in his apartment. Do we see his picture safe thing at this point? Or that's a little bit later.
That's a little bit later.
That's a little bit later. Yeah, but he's like, he calls Myra. She's his gal. Says, come over. She's like, I'll be there in a little bit. But he's on the bed, and he's obviously in pain, and he kind of passes out.
Yeah.
And then he has like a vision of this dude in an old-timey suit coming into his...
Yeah, this part, I didn't know what way this movie was going to go with this part. And I was about to be like, whoa, okay, this is more than just a crime film. All right.
It's a ghost movie. It's
I was excited about that, and then it would turn out just to be a lead into a flashback.
Right.
This dude was like a master grifter, and Roy sought him out to learn his ways.
A younger Roy, he's dressed all slick.
Looks like he fell out of Wild at Heart or something. He's got the leather jacket.
Yeah.
He's got that devil may care attitude.
But he tells this old grifter, he's like, teach me what you know. And the guy's like, okay, yeah, no partners. Don't ever team up with anybody. They're just going to stab you in the back. They're just a liability. No long cons.
Because the longer it goes, the more likely you'll mess up at some point.
Keep it small. Nothing that will get you jail time.
You can do it. Get the money. Gone.
Yeah.
Boom. It's done.
I know that scene. He like, give me a 20. And Cusack hands him a 20 and he walks away with it. Says, come back tomorrow. I'll take you for another 20. It's great. So Myra gets to the apartment. He's not feeling good, you know. Roy's not feeling good, being too sick to not fuck, you know.
Sure.
So in the morning, the concierge calls up and tells Roy that he has a young woman there to see him. Claims to be his mother. And Roy immediately gets a little weird. But,
yeah,
you know,
what?
says send her up and everything. So it looks like they haven't seen each other in 8 years. And he's pretty cold toward her, pretty cool.
But she quickly realizes that he is not doing well. Because he can't hide the fact that his stomach is in excruciating pain.
Right. So she calls a doctor she knows in town, says who she works with.
It's funny because the guy doubts her at first.
Yeah.
And then he's very apologetic once he realizes who she works for.
Right, and he's saying shit like, oh, he's bleeding internally. He might die. And she's like, if he dies, I'll have you killed. And I just want to say how much I love the whole cast, actually. But Anjelica Huston is so fucking good in this. She's great. So Myra goes to visit Roy at the hospital, and she and Lily immediately clash, like most mothers and girlfriends. But everyone seems kind of surprised that Lily could be his mother.
Yeah.
She's not that much older.
They established this fact that she doesn't seem that much older than him. And in fact, Myra's a little older than him, too.
Mm-hmm. I actually wrote down some dates here.
Okay. Did you crunch some numbers?
I crunched some numbers.
All right.
So the actors at the time, Huston was born in 58. Benning was born in... Huston was born in 51. Benning was born in 58. Cusack was born in 66. So Huston was 39 at the time of filming.
Okay.
Benning was 32, and Cusack was 24.
Okay.
So their ages actually line up pretty well with their characters. Because we learned that Roy says that Lily had him when she was like 14.
14, yeah.
Yeah, and that lines up perfectly, actually.
And there's even a part where they argue where he's like, he kind of throws at her like, oh, you would introduce me as your little brother to people. Mm-hmm. And like hide who I was.
Yep. But even here we get like she goes to like kind of touch him and he sort of recoils from him some. He acts very odd around his mother.
Yeah. To be certain.
Mm-hmm. So he basically tells her to get lost. I'll pay you back. I don't want to owe anybody nothing. So she gets pissed and leaves, but she is late to the track.
Yeah.
To bet on the next horse.
She spent too much time there.
Yeah.
And because she didn't go, it fucks with all the odds, and the person that wins ends up paying out 70 to 1.
Yeah.
When that should have been reduced because of her scheming, but
exactly.
And then immediately she gets a call, and it's from Bobo's people, and they're like, "Hey, you got to come see the boss. You fucked up."
Yeah, ain't good. And Mara and Roy have a little discussion about how she's wanting more than whatever it is that they're having.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because it's like, what do you mean, like marriage or?
Yeah. But it's obviously she wants a little bit more than what a matchstick salesman can do.
Yeah.
And then the cute nurse comes in the room and she's kind of flirting with him. He's flirting back, but then he stops as soon as she starts talking about his mother.
Yeah, this is her name's Carol.
Yeah, Carol.
She's played by Noelle Harling.
Yeah.
Very cute, very down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
I was confused about her because it seemed like she was important, but then she's not really. She's in one other scene that we'll get to, but I learned when I was looking at the plot of the novel, she actually has a bigger role.
Oh yeah,
in the novel.
Interesting.
Which I'll maybe talk about when we get through the film.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Cool. So Lily goes back to the hospital to see Roy. She's kind of asking him, like, what's up? Like, why do you have a square job, a lousy apartment, sad clown pictures on the walls? She knows she's up to something.
Mm-hmm. And she basically tells him, like, "Yeah, you gotta stop the grift.
Yeah, cut the grift. You're not cut out for it. You're not suited for it.
If you keep going, you're gonna get killed."
Yeah, and then she brings that cute nurse in, saying, "Oh, Carol's gonna check on you."
Yeah, I paid her. She's gonna like check in on you, kind of be your home private nurse.
Yeah, and Roy's like, "Do you know why my mother hired you? So I could fuck you."
Just really scares her off.
Yeah. And then they continue the conversation after Carol leaves, and there's some really weird. There's some sexual tension.
Sure, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, between Lily and Roy. And then we see Myra paying off her landlord, not with cash, but with sex.
Yeah. So here's this, I'm just pulling this from the Wikipedia thing. So blah blah blah. They know that Lily and Myra don't like each other. And so this is just verbatim someone's summary of the plot.
Okay.
Lily hires a nurse, Carol, in the hopes that Roy will give up on her and stay with Carol. Roy leaves the hospital and stays at Lily's apartment where Carol looks after him. Roy discovers that Carol was the victim of a sexual experiment at Dachau. With this knowledge, mostly because Roy does not want to associate with a person paid by Lily, he breaks off their relationship and ends it.
That's odd little detail.
Yeah, so like a little like subplot where it's like they kind of try to date a little bit, and then
yeah, because the book was written in the 60s or something, right?
Yeah, 63.
Yeah,
by Jim Thompson. So I just thought that was interesting that she had like more in the book. But,
yeah,
I mean that would be so much more time.
That sounds like its own story.
Yeah,
like, that's a different book. Weird. Okay. All right. So then we get one of my favorite scenes in the whole film. Is where Lily goes to meet Bobo Justice.
Yes.
Played by Pat Hingle. And this is a scary performance by Pat Hingle. Because we are used to seeing him play like the nicer character. He was Commissioner Gordon in the Burton Batman movies, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You know? He's always like the bartender or the mayor in like the old Clint Eastwood westerns or something.
Just the upstanding guy that's holding everything down.
Yeah, but no, he's holding
it down in this, but
he's ruthless.
It's a criminal empire, not a nice, friendly town.
Yeah, but he goes to see Lily and says, driving him by a hotel, and on the way, she's, he's like grilling her. It's like,
he's like, when did you get a son? You never told me you had a son.
Yeah, that, and like, how much money are you stealing, that sort of thing. And he asks, do you have like a long coat or something in the car?
And she's like, no. And he's like, oh, that's fine. I'll loan you one.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's not good. So they finally get back to his room, and he dismisses his goons, and he just turns around and hauls her, punches her in the stomach.
Yeah.
And then he's like, tell me about the oranges.
Tell me how that works.
Yeah.
And she starts to explain that you take a towel and you fill it up with oranges, and then when you use that to beat a person, it'll leave them with like really
horrible bruising,
nasty bruises.
But no internal injury if you do it right.
But if you do it wrong, you'll kill them.
Yeah. And Hingle says something like how you never shit right again.
And he makes her put all the oranges in the towel, bring them over to him. And he like fakes her out and acts like he's going to beat her with them, but then he doesn't. Instead, he tackles her to the ground and then burns the back of one of her hands with his cigar.
Yeah.
Which is pretty rough too, but a little better than the oranges, I suppose.
Yeah. But then she comes out later. She's wearing like the raincoat that he gave her, and he's all nice now,
friendly,
in this very menacing kind of way.
Really wants to know about the son more now. Yeah, and how's he doing?
And he's like, how much money are you skimming? How much money are you taking? And she's like, no, just a little bit here, a little bit there. Like no big deal, not a lot.
And it's funny because what he says is he's like, that's good because that's what I expect.
Yeah,
I'm only gonna care if it's a lot.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, oh,
and
okay.
She even has a line that's like, only a sucker wouldn't take anything.
Yeah.
You can't trust someone like that either. So she leaves with a not too subtle warning of not to fuck up again. I think let's go ahead and talk about this one bit of trivia you might have already seen involving this scene, because it's a little weird that she has to wear the trench coat here. Because he didn't really mess her up besides the hand.
Yeah.
But apparently they filmed more. But it was cut.
Oh.
And it was a sequence that Anjelica Huston had to be talked into taking the role because she had big reservations against it. Because apparently the scene they cut, and in the script, Bobo does beat her with the oranges.
Oh, shit.
And at one point, she's like in the corner shitting herself.
Damn.
And she was very concerned about that scene. And I think they shot it, but it didn't make the final cut. Wow. But that's why she's wearing the raincoat. Because she's more fucked up looking than,
okay,
we even see.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did seem weird because it's like you get the raincoat and then the one noticeable thing he did is still exposed.
The hand, yeah. It's like, give her gloves. Yeah.
But put a pin in that wound on her hand.
Yeah.
That's plot important.
Yep. Meanwhile, Roy and Myra... Roy suggests, hey, let's get away for the weekend. Let's go to La Jolla and get out.
And she immediately like, so you wanting to go there because your mom's there?
And he's like, no.
And he's like, no, I don't even want to go to the racetracks. I just want to go to the beach.
Yeah. So they're on the train, and he's out stretching his legs, and he comes across these sailors.
And this is the part where I was kind of like, I don't like any of these characters really as people.
Yeah.
Because he gets up to decide he's going to go, like, grift. And then she immediately is like catching eyes with a dude somewhere. I don't know.
But that's what she does.
Sure.
I mean, she doesn't do anything with the guy, but she uses her sexual wiles to manipulate people. But you're not supposed to like these people. They're grifters. They're not nice people. It's a crime thriller. It's like Reservoir Dogs. Do you like any of them? Well, I mean, you
actually,
do like them. They're pretty fucking cool.
I pretty much like all of them.
But you shouldn't like them. But yeah, you do.
I acknowledge their wrongs, but still like them because they're well-designed characters.
You don't think these are well-designed characters? Apparently not.
We'll get to that.
Oh my god. Okay. So he's using this thing with loaded dice. He's got like a magnet under his arm, manipulating how they come up. And Myra sees this happening. So her suspicions, because she knew there was more to him than this, and she's like, oh, okay. He's like me. He's a con man. He's a grifter. So later on, they're having dinner, and she tells him, I saw what you were doing. I know what you do.
You're the best I've ever seen.
Yeah. But she's like, okay, we need to do a long con. We need to make some real money. And she tells him the story of how she used to make loads and loads of money.
For 10 years.
With this other guy named Cole. And it was basically, they would find some investor, some banker.
Yeah, it's called the WireCon.
Yeah.
Which you may have seen in the film The Sting from 1973.
Great movie. Yeah, it's basically just that. Although the blow-off is about the same, actually. Because it ends with a fake death. So basically they have Charles Napier come in. Another great actor in this movie. And they do the whole thing, the whole fake. They get him to invest in something that's not real. They have fake FBI agents come in.
It's like a confidence scam kind of thing. They getting rich people to invest in, they have cheats to manipulate the stock market and get a bunch of money.
Right.
And they have an initial amount of money to trick them into thinking that they're legit to get all of their money.
Yep.
And then they have a chaotic event to then burn it all and get out of there.
Yeah. Because Myra, she gets killed, in quotation marks, dies in his arms, and the cops are after the other guys, so Charles Napier just books it out of there. Never to be seen again, and they get his money and they party. But Cole winds up going nutsoid.
Yeah, and this was underplayed, I guess. Because it really just jumps to everything was great, and then he went crazy.
Yeah. I agree. It's a little abrupt. It's a little. I would have preferred maybe he got hooked on drugs and OD'd, or he just fucking shot himself or some shit. Just gave into the depression. And,
sure.
Yeah, I would have preferred something like that too, or some other con man took him out. One of the investors got wise and came back. To
someone else betrayed him.
Yeah, just going nuts. I don't know.
It's weird.
It's a little weak. I agree with that.
And Roy is not into it. He's like, nah. He's like, long cons always fail eventually. It doesn't matter.
Right.
If you keep going with it, at some point, it's going to mess up.
That's what his old teacher taught him, his Yoda.
And he's like, I've kept it short. Yep. It's worked for me. I'm making money.
And she thinks she could talk him into it. And she's kind of manipulating him later with some sex. That's what she does.
She's got the whole, we just got to do it one time when we're good.
Mm-hmm. But I also got to, shout out to Annette Benning here in her performance, especially with the nude scenes and stuff. She remarked something about how she found it more comedic, the nude scenes. So it made her, she didn't think it was exploitative. So it made her more agreeable to do them.
I do think their hotel scene is funny, where they get back and she made him book separate rooms.
Yeah.
And she blows him off and goes to bed early. And then he's in his room kind of being pouty, and then she calls and is like, come open your front door.
Yeah. And she comes out stark naked in the hallway. Yeah.
But then it's funny because after they sleep together, she's like, all right, so first step for the long con.
He's like, whoa, I did not agree to this. She's thinking that she could just, fuck him to agree. Mm-hmm. But we see Lily again. She's in her hotel room, and we see her packing a semi-automatic with a suppressor. Mm-hmm. So they're not silencers. They don't silence anything. And it's way too small, too. It's a Hollywood silencer. There's a knock on the door, and it's Roy. And he's trying to pay her $4,000 for the hospital bill and all that shit. She won't take it. And he sees the gun. He finds the gun there.
He's like, what in the world is this for?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's just...
It's the life.
It's the life. And she even kind of calls him out at this point. She's like, if you can just toss $4,000 around,
Yeah, you're making a lot more than, those little side hustles here and there. You're into it. Mm-hmm. And he does see the cigarette burn at this point on her hand.
Which is important for later.
Mm-hmm. He leaves, and we see that Myra has followed him, and she sees Lily leave as well.
And she's like, oh, I'm going to follow her and figure out what her deal is.
Yeah, yep. She follows her to the track. She borrows some old man's binoculars and spies Lily getting stuff out of her hidden section in her trunk.
Yep. And then this is when Myra comes to Roy to kind of make her last-ditch plea. Come on, do the long con. Everything will be perfect. You're great at what you do. I'm great at what I do.
Yeah. And your mom's just trying to push me away. She's jealous or whatever.
She's trying to get between us. Mm-hmm. And then he's still against it because from the start he's like, all of this looks bad.
Right.
Just nothing about this is going to go right.
Yeah.
And she finally drops the bomb and is like, you're into your mother, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And he loses his cool and hits her.
He does. He truly does. And he's before this, he's also telling her how dangerous she is.
Yeah.
It's like it's just a matter of time before you get pinched, and I'm not going to get pinched with you. And yeah, she's pushing him about his mom, saying, "Oh, you want to fuck your mother," basically. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he just hauls off and not a slap. I mean, it's a closed fist punch.
He is immediately remorseful for whatever that's worth to anyone, but is giving the usual platitudes of that's not like me. I don't normally do that.
Right. But he does say, just get the fuck out.
Yeah.
He's done with it.
We're done. This is it. End of the road. And she's not going to let that stand. She's like, well, I'm going to have to fuck him over then. Mm-hmm. And, the mom's really the problem. So let me do something about the mom. And we get a hint of this, too, because in their confrontation, she mentions that she has friends back in Baltimore. Yeah. Because that's where all this mob stuff's based out of.
Right.
And she says, Cole had a lot of connections. I know a lot of people because of working with him.
So she knows who Lily's working for.
So I called and I found out that she's working for Bobo. Mm-hmm. Which is a little tip off to what comes next, because then she decides to go call up Mr. Bobo and report on Lily.
Yep. Roy gives Lily a call, says, I want to talk to you. Can we just have like an adult conversation? She's like, yeah, sure, come on over. But after she gets off the phone with Roy, she gets a tip from one of Bobo's goons.
I like this because this is just clearly some low, he's probably an accountant or something.
Yeah, and he's like, you've always been good to me. You've always been nice to me, Lily, so I'm going to give you a little tip. Bobo's after you. There's goons coming.
He knows about the money.
He knows about your secret stash.
I hope this is enough of a head start for you.
Yep. So she's just like, fuck this, and just takes off. She's out the door before the guy's even done talking.
Yeah, I like that. She drops the phone and he's still talking as she's like packing her bags.
Yeah.
But Myra's there watching.
Yep, sure
and
is.
Decides to stalk her.
Yep. And two goons show up like immediately and go into the room and leave right before Roy gets there. And Roy's like knocking on the door and there's nothing there and he's getting pissed off.
So dejectedly, he starts driving back home.
And Myra is following Lily. Lily checks into this little roadside motel.
This whole part's very Psycho inspired.
Sure. There's an old lady running the place, and when Myra comes in after Lily, she actually mistakes Myra for Lily.
Yeah.
She thinks, oh, is there something wrong with the room? Oh, wait, no, you're somebody else. Because they're both wearing headscarves. They both have short blonde hair. Mm-hmm. They're not too far off in age, really. It's almost like Roy wants to fuck his mom.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, because at first she tries to give Myra, a room closer to the road. And she's like, oh, don't you have anything in the back that's more secluded?
Yeah.
She's like, why is everybody wanting to go in the back here? Oh, I think people just want their privacy.
So Myra's in her room, and she's going through her stuff. She's got this huge set of keys. She's going through and comparing them with her motel key. Finds a few that look pretty close. And there's this part where she catches herself in the mirror and just sort of doesn't seem to like what she sees.
Yeah. She sees...
sees Lily, really, because the old lady was, she's like, oh shit, we do look alike, and am I going to wind up like Lily? What's this life? But anyway, later on, Myra, it's just not a good podcast unless I hit the
Gotta have it once, at least once.
Myra sneaks into Lily's room.
Yep.
Immediately jumps on her and starts choking her.
Yeah, we kind of fade out from that without knowing the outcome.
Yep. We get Roy getting off a plane. And he's greeted by a couple of cops. He's greeted by Xander fucking Berkeley, who you may know as one of the Weasleyest character actors ever. He was the bad guy in Air Force One. He was Solid. Trevor in Candyman, who was very, very mean to Virginia Madsen. Yeah. And I shall never forgive him for that. But he has a great, memorable death scene in that movie, too. I love Candyman.
Yeah. Great film.
Yeah. So I see him and I just think Candyman. I think, oh, it's that fucker Trevor.
Yeah, but he's in Phoenix, and the police are wanting him to identify his mother's body.
Yeah, they say that Roy says my mother would not commit suicide.
Yeah, because they're ruling it as a suicide.
Yeah, the cop's like, well, we found her gun, and they found a lot of money in her car. And he's like, we don't normally need to do a next of kin ID, but we got nothing. She has no fingerprints on file, and her dental records won't work because she ate her gun, the dude says to her son. So he goes in to ID the body, and at first he does seem to think it's Lily. We don't really get a good close-up shot of it, but like the face is ruined.
Yeah, you can tell the face is just completely ruined.
We see bloody blonde hair. But they show the entire body, and he still thinks it's his mom. But then he sees...
the hand.
Yeah, there's no burn on the hand.
No burn on the hand. Which he slyly does not reveal to the police.
No.
But he knows what's up.
He kind of chuckles to himself, though. He knows what happened. So, meanwhile, Lily, dressed in Myra's clothes and driving her car, goes to Roy's, where the concierge actually mistakes her for Myra.
Because he says, like, oh, good morning, Miss Langtree.
Yeah.
She gets in there. She finds a secret stash, which is in the ugly clown paintings.
Yep.
She starts trying to fill the bag.
And Roy walks in on her.
And Lily reveals what happened. Myra attacked her, was going to choke her out, so she shot her in self-defense.
Yep.
And then she arranged the scene to appear like it was Myra's body.
Yep.
Was her, and that she had committed suicide. That way she could break free from the mob.
Yeah.
And have a clean getaway.
And she actually asked Roy, is the frame holding? And Roy was like, yeah, they all think you're dead. And he's trying to talk her into staying for a little bit anyway, and to, first of all, to take his fucking money, but to go straight. Just got enough money to go somewhere, live like a square. Just find a normal job, lay low, because if you keep running the rackets and grifting, it's only a matter of time before Bobo finds you.
And she's pleading with him. She's like, this is all I know. This is all I can do.
Yeah.
I can't just go back to a normal life.
Yeah. And she's like pleading with him. She's like, I gave you your life twice. Can't you give me this money? But then she tries a different tactic. She tries a Myra tactic.
Yeah.
And it's basically like, well, what if I told you I wasn't your mother?
Yeah, that was just a lie I told you. And he kind of knows it's BS at this point.
But he's kind of going along with it.
Yeah.
Because she comes up to him and starts kissing him. And he's like, kind of into it, but also like, shocked and maybe a little repulsed or whatever, and kind of pulls back. And he's going to take a drink of the water that she made.
Well, that's a whole funny thing to get into, is that she's like, oh, I think we need a drink of water right now.
Yeah. Like,
and it seems like it's going to be like a poisoning thing, because she comes back and she's like, pick either glass.
Yeah, pick either one you want.
You can trust me. And he's like, why? I know you wouldn't do it this way.
Yeah. And then she has a line that's like, you'd be surprised what I would do to survive. So after she kisses him and he's taking his drink, she just spins around with the briefcase that she's loading all of his money into, whacks him in the face, but the glass breaks. And a big shard goes
fucking
right
eviscerates his neck.
Yeah. And blood is just pumping everywhere. And she freaks out, is crying. He dies. She gathers up all the literally blood money, packs it in a suitcase, and takes off.
Yeah.
In his car.
Yeah.
The end.
That's the end.
Yep. All right. Any fun trivia or anything?
I got a bunch of trivia.
Yeah, all right.
The studio that made this, Cineplex Odeon Films, they're an offshoot of Cineplex Odeon Cinemas, and they wanted Scorsese to direct the film. And he wasn't really keen on directing it, and he said, but let me pick. I think I know who would be good for this. And he selected Stephen Frears.
Who had just done Dangerous Liaisons, which was a big hit.
And in a bit of confidence, Scorsese decided he would stay on as a producer. And other contributions, like that opening narration, is read by Scorsese.
Oh, okay. The narration never comes back.
Yeah. Cusack was a big fan of the book. Apparently, when he was even in high school, he tried to option and get the rights to it, and then found out, someone else has already got it.
That's crazy.
And it just happened that it sat so long that then he was there at the right time, at the right place to be in it. Annette Benning's performance as Myra is directly inspired by an iconic noir actress, Gloria Graham, particularly her roles in The Big Heat from 1953. And then Annette Bening would actually later play her in a biopic, Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool from 2017.
Okay.
Let's see. Talking about the ages, you got into that a little bit. Mm-hmm. There was always a lot of people saying they didn't understand why Anjelica Huston was cast as the mother. But again, like you said, it's actually like when you do the math, it charts out right.
Checks, yeah.
This is from the novel, like actual text off the page. Lily gave birth to Roy when not quite 14. And when the events occur in the book, it says she is 39 and Roy is 25.
That's almost at their exact ages. Cusack was 24, but...
Myra, she's called Moira in the book, which is like a weird change. But her age is never given in the film or the book. But in the book, there's a part where he estimates that she's about 35.
Yeah, pretty close.
Which, again, tracks to those numbers that you gave.
Yeah, and his mommy obsession.
Anjelica Huston and John Cusack accepted much less than their usual going fee at the time to be in a film. Because they just really wanted to do it.
I respect that.
Had a lot of faith in it. Let's see. 2013, Anjelica Huston described the role as the most challenging one of her career. And that might also...
It's a very emotional role for her. There's a lot going on.
Some of the violence you were talking about in that one scene, too.
I mean, the incestuous stuff, too, probably was a little challenging.
It definitely gets in your head a little bit, probably, and mucky thing to deal with. Annette Benning said that she was totally fine with the nudity in the film. Mm-hmm. She felt that the scenes were, as you said, more comedic than dramatic.
Yeah.
And she said, and I quote... I thought I could do them because of the context it was in. It just made sense to me in the story. It was appropriate to the part and the character. I didn't feel it was exploitative. I had also just been in Europe for a while, and they have such a superior attitude about nudity, so I felt much more relaxed about it all.
Fucking A. She looks great, too.
I was feeling very liberated at the time, and I'm still glad I did it.
Nice. I'm glad she did, too.
There was a lot of people considered for these characters. I didn't keep them all down, but... the one that stood out to me that I was like, that would be an interesting change. Michelle Pfeiffer was originally considered for the role that Annette Benning took.
I could see that.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
It would make the age... I think the ages, like their looks, work perfectly with their ages.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe Michelle Pfeiffer would have seemed a little too young at that time, perhaps.
I don't know. They're probably about the same age, but maybe...
They were very faithful to the book in general. Many of the lines that are spoken are directly taken word from word, quoted right out of the book.
Yeah, it sounds very 60s, very old school.
The actors that play the sailors that he grifts with on the train, they are from Cusack's New Crimes theater group based out of Chicago.
And Jeremy Piven's one of them.
And he invited them in to help out. Let's see. The con that Myra does with Cole, it's... The like financial office they're based out of is called Coe, Stark, Fellows, and Associates.
Ah, yes.
And Tucker Coe and Richard Stark are two pseudonyms used by the screenwriter and author Donald E. Westlake.
Those are cool pseudonyms.
Character names, Lily Dillon and Myra Langtry, allude to the 1800s actress Lily Langtry.
Okay. Lost on me.
No.
I'm not that big of a nerd. Jesus.
At one point, there's an old-timey film playing on the TV that's a crime film itself, and that is The Lady Vanishes from 1938.
Yeah, Hitchcock film.
Yep.
Yeah, classic. That one I have seen.
And then we talked about Michelle Pfeiffer for Myra. Some of the people that were being considered for Lily, their first pick was actually Cher.
I saw that. She was off Moonstruck and was asking for too much money.
Yep. And then after her, they looked at Gina Davis, but I guess it was a scheduling thing, so...
I can see Gina Davis. I can't really see Cher doing this, but honestly, Anjelica Huston is a perfect choice.
And yeah, that's all my little fancy notes. I pulled Roger Ebert's review of the film. Mm-hmm. He gave it 4 stars out of 4.
Yeah.
He praised the lead performance and the script. He said it was a more accurate capture of the essence of film noir than any he had seen in recent times.
Yeah.
And his final summation, he wrote, "This is a movie of plot, not episode. It's not just a series of things that happen to the characters, but a web, a maze of their consequences."
Yep, I would agree with that. And it also got nominated for a bunch of awards at the Academy Awards.
Oh, run those down.
Stephen Frears was nominated for Best Director. Anjelica Huston Anjelica Huston was nominated for Best Actress. Best Supporting Actress, Annette Benning was nominated for. Westlake was nominated for the Best Screenplay adapted from another medium. It won none of those. But, it's nice just to be nominated, right?
Sure. 1990, I bet there was stiff competition.
Yeah, I didn't look at what else was there.
I have to guess. It did win some things, though, I saw, right?
Like Boston smaller awards.
Yeah.
Boston Society of Film Critics Award gave Anjelica Huston Best Actress. Edgar Allan Poe Awards gave Westlake Best Motion Picture.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. A few other smaller things, but suffice to say, it did get some really good critical reception.
Cool.
But apparently not from Dustin.
But not from me. No.
Okay, so should I talk about it first since I brought it and I've seen it?
Sure, I guess that makes more sense.
Okay. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. It really holds up. It's stuck in my head. It's stuck in my head because maybe for the reasons you didn't like it. Like, because the characters are shitty. They're not nice people. I do kind of like those types of movies. Usually. It depends. It's really weird. It's like, because I was just bitching about that with The Last Straw. I don't know what the difference is. That's actually kind of interesting to me. I'm not sure what the difference is.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it might be the whole crime grifting thing. I just find that so like romantic and cool and also scary and stupid that it intrigues me. You know, people that make a living out of conning other people. It also really helps that I really like the actors.
I would say number one greatest thing in this film is the performances.
Oh, absolutely.
Across the board, they are just like super, super strong.
Yeah, it was Cusack when he was pretty much at the height of his powers.
And I've debated the entire time we've been recording if I would share this, but I think I will.
Okay.
Have you ever been compared to a movie star?
I don't think so, no.
I have been one time in my life. And at the time, I didn't know if it was a compliment or not. But now, the more I think about it, I think it was a compliment.
Yeah?
It was John Cusack.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
interesting. In what context? Who gave you this?
It was just, your looks, you kind of remind me of John Cusack.
Okay.
And at the time, I was like, oh, doesn't he kind of suck? He's not like very famous. But then when I thought about it more, I was like, you know what, though? He's done a lot of like, just like solid acting roles and like great stuff.
He doesn't do a lot now. Like he does a lot of like direct to streaming stuff now.
And he's not like conventional, I guess, like big action star hero person. But
no, he tried that. It didn't work out.
But he's pretty cool. So I was like, I guess that is kind of cool.
I've always liked John Cusack a lot.
And he's great here.
He is great here. Okay, I'm glad you acknowledged that at least. Yeah, he does like just a bunch of direct to streaming type stuff now. He doesn't really.
He kind of got thrust into that world, but
I don't know if he got blacklisted by something, like some failure or something.
I don't know.
Weird. Anyway, please continue.
I mean, that was my only point. I was just curious because that was on my mind watching this film.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really been compared to any movie stars. Anyway, let's see, where was I? Okay. Yeah, it's a lean movie. It's economical. It's efficient. I like the story. I like the situations. I like the whole. I love Pat Hingle's Bobo Justice. First, I fucking love that name, Bobo Justice. But his scene it's just so scary, and Anjelica Huston man, she's swinging for the fences. She should have gotten the award that year. I'm gonna look up to see who else got it.
You give the grudge down.
I do. I'm gonna go find this person. I'm gonna kneecap them. But to me, it's a fun, lean, efficient flick. I think I read something about how I think it was Scorcese or someone, maybe Frears, calling it like almost like Greek tragedy mixed with film noir, because you get the whole Oedipus complex and people just making the worst choices and it ends badly, and these guys are going to catch up with Lily at some point.
Oh yeah,
she's not going to have a good ending. I don't know. I dug it. It always stuck in my head after all these years, because it's been a long fucking time since I've seen this.
Sure.
But it's been in my list of movies to bring to this podcast. So I'm hoping that some people out there who like this sort of a film might want to go watch it, check it out, and enjoy it, despite what you are about to say.
Which is that I really did not like this film. First and foremost, the score, I fucking hated it. I'm actually surprised that this person composed other stuff that was great, but it felt so obnoxious and out of place, and like the entire time the vibe it gave me was like, okay, this is supposed to be like a comedy or a parody of a noir film, but then obviously what you're seeing on screen being depicted is, I believe, supposed to be taken at face value as like serious. So it makes it made a weird like disconnect where like the other elements in the film you're giving me are making me want to feel a way that's like not the intended way you're supposed to feel.
Okay.
Which is awkward and odd. This is very play-like, which owes to the fact that it was from a novel.
Right.
We've really only got like 3 primary characters. I think they all have interesting like backstories as far as like who they were before this story starts.
Right.
But I felt like in the film they're kind of characterized poorly because like I go back to what Roger Ebert said here. This is a movie of plot, not episode. I like 100% disagree with that. I feel like this is a movie of random shit happens and they all kind of just go along with it.
I disagree.
I feel like they're kind of just bopping along and then like here's a twist, here's a twist, here's a twist.
I think that the characters' actions directly impact the plot and motivate the plot.
But I feel like it comes out of nowhere. Like it just
I would disagree.
Shit happens.
Because we got Lily doing her thing. That has consequences. We got Myra trying to get Roy to do what she wants. That has consequences. We've got Roy who has his obsession with his mother. That has consequences. Yeah, I think it's all interconnected.
And then that's my other thing is that for this to be a film that's about grifting, it's called The Grifters.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of grifting going on, I don't feel like. I feel like a lot of it's them talking about the idea of grifting, and then only in some slices do we see it depicted. And that struck me as really weird. Because the more it goes on, it's like it's not even about the grifting anymore. It's just about his...
like 0 stars, no grifting.
His Oedipus complex with his mother. And how the two of them are like strung around that. And how it pulls on it. And so again, yeah, like I said, like mixed with that music too, it feels like at times it wants to be this parody of a noir film that's a comedy. But then it clearly doesn't want to be that. But it keeps pushing on that way. Or it feels like it's pushing on that way to me. And then I found the ending to be like really incredulous and like I don't see how you would ever have fooled the cops that Myra was Lily, even with their similarities, because like there's a massive height difference between them. Even like things like the details of their skin were radically different from one another. Like that whole part just seemed like impossible to swallow to me.
It's also an easier solution than anything else, which is what cops will love to gravitate toward. And they had no reason to suspect foul play, really. I could see that happening, because it's like, okay, case closed, let's go on. You know, it's not anybody important, it's not, who cares? It's a suicide, move on.
And then it felt like such a jump in that, like, there's these 3 characters, and we're kind of presented like, oh, they're all like master grifters. They really know what they're doing.
Well, they think they are.
And then like the first second that things go wrong, they're just doing the most insane shit and like killing people and doing all this other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's part of the point.
Maybe.
I mean, even Royce tells Myra, you know, you're dangerous. You know, it's only a matter of time before something happens to you. And yeah, she's a fucking killer, or she decides that's the best way to go. So I mean. Yeah, he's right.
It just didn't sit well with me.
Okay.
I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know. I did not feel satisfied by the end.
Okay.
It's like if I was to pitch to you a movie called The Soldiers, and it was about 3 people that were like expert, elite military soldiers that have done all this stuff and all this action, and then the film is them like sitting around talking about that, and then it's about how one dude is like in love with the other dude, and it's a love triangle thing.
Okay.
Boom, The Soldiers.
All right. If it's a good movie, I don't give a fuck. But I think we do see enough grifting in the movie to justify the title, and it's also what they do.
I don't know.
I don't think we need to see
I
them
watched the
grifting.
trailer, and I got kind of excited, and then I felt like the film itself was something else.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I gave this actually 1 star.
Jesus Christ, you are fucking insane. You are insane.
1 star for the excellent performances by the cast.
I have said this before, but I have never felt this more surely than I do now. You are fucking insane. This is not a 1-star movie. That is is patently ridiculous.
I aggressively would never.
A year from now, I want you to go back and watch this again and tell me it's a 1-star movie.
Are you gonna pay for me to rent it?
Yes, I will. Okay. I will fucking buy a 4K for you, Blu-ray. That is egregious. That is just egregious.
No, I was like, this is a huge miss.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay.
You know, it's probably the best film ever made about people in the 1990s where one dude has an Oedipus complex.
This is just...
I'm gonna say one of the weakest neo-noir films I've ever seen.
This is beyond the pale. This is not a 1-star film.
And this is where I say...
I literally think you're trolling me right now.
I promise you I am not. Write in. Let us know what you think. Have you seen this film? What do you think of it? Maybe you want to watch it yourself. Let us know your opinion, your take,
please let me know.
Both of us desperately need validation. So.
Oh, I don't need validation. I don't need it. I've got lots of critics on my fucking side.
Well, I'm just gonna say if Roger Ebert champions it, well, maybe there's something wrong with it.
Jesus,
I don't know.
He wasn't always wrong. But speaking of critical reception, 1990 Best Actress winner, and I can't get too mad about this actually. Kathy Bates for Misery.
Oh, shit. Well.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actress, I can't actually get mad about because that was Whoopi Goldberg for Ghost.
Ghost is pretty good, though.
Dude, I fucking hate Ghost.
What?
I fucking hate Ghost. I hate Ghost. Don't like it. Nope.
Is that why you were predisposed against the dead thing? For its ghostly essence.
It could be.
It was Ghost Zoomer edition.
Oh, Best Actor for 1990, Jeremy Irons, Reversal of Fortune.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see that movie?
Good movie.
Great movie. But I actually think he got that because they cheated him with his Dead Ringers nomination. He should have won for that.
Yeah.
But whatever. Okay.
They get afraid of Cronenberg sometimes. Which, speaking of, the trailer for The Shrouds is out, and whoo!
Yeah, that's going to kick ass.
It's looking good.
I cannot wait for that.
Excited.
Yes. All right, man.
Write in. Let us know what you think. You can hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Email us at genreexposure@gmail.com.
Tell Dustin how fucking wrong he is.
Subject line, The Grifters was a load of BS.
Oh, Jesus
Send it in
Christ.
right now.
We'll
read your letter on air.
This might be the last episode of this pod, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna go. I'll be right back. I got some oranges. I got to wrap in a towel. Just give me a few minutes.
Do you not want to know what we're going to watch next?
Better go ahead and tell me before I start whapping you with this towel.
Well, I decided knowing coming in that I was going to shit on this film, that I better pick something that I've not seen, so that it's a fresh watch on all ends.
Why?
So there's no hard feelings between us.
No, you still brought it. If I hate it, I'll blame you.
And it's been on my mind, and I wanted to see it.
Okay.
And Michael made it very clear to me that we could actually stream it.
All right.
So I was like, okay. So, recently in France, there's been this production company that's been doing some adaptations of classic novels by Alexandre Dumas.
Alexandre Dumbass.
Yes, Alexander Dumbass, as we say in America. Stuff like The Three Musketeers, like The Count of Monte Cristo, which is my favorite work of classic literature. And I've been meaning to watch these. They're starting to get over here now, like a year or two after their release in France. I thought, why not just twist it into being a thing for the show? Because we don't often do French films. We don't often do like historical.
There's a reason for that. Have you seen a lot of French films?
Swashbuckling era type stuff, but we do like that. We talk about that sometimes.
Yeah.
So I thought we would start with the first film they did, The Three Musketeers, D'Artagnan, from 2023, directed by Martin Bourboulon.
Interesting.
This is like a fresh, new readaptation of the Three Musketeers stuff. I think they made two films. This one, and then a follow-up, The Three Musketeers, Milady. I don't know a lot about them. I don't know a lot of the history going into them. I just know it was like, from a French production company trying to really give justice to the novels. Big production, big budget behind it.
Interesting.
Big swing. I know they've got a lot of awards and like festival play in their time. The most recent one they did, The Count of Monte Cristo, that just came out on Blu-ray over here. I've not even watched it yet myself, but I figure, I know you've seen some of the other Three Musketeer films in the past.
Yeah.
I have too. So I thought it would be just interesting to watch a new, fresh take on it and see what we feel about it.
All right. What's your take on the 73 version?
Let me see.
With Oliver Reed, Richard Chamberlain, Michael York.
I think that one's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a good cast.
Yeah. I love that one.
And then I quite like, even though it's pretty messy, but the 90s like Man in the Iron Mask film.
Is that the one with what's his face? That one guy.
Got to be a little more.
The one who used to be really annoying, pretty boy, but now he's actually a really good actor.
That could be a lot
the
of people.
fucker in Titanic.
Oh, Leo, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't remember his fucking name. I'm still so fucking mad at you.
And that has Jeremy Irons in it as well.
That's right. I never saw that one.
Gabriel Byrne, John Malkovich.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty dope. Well, whatever. Three Musketeers Super Show next time.
All right. Woo.
Look forward to that. Otherwise, hit us up on the socials. Hit us up on the email. Let us know what you've been watching. Give us film recommendations. We're still going to pepper in your suggestions when they are relevant and make sense to do, but that bag's getting low, so unless people want to send us a bunch, we're going to put a pause on those and kind of just pepper them in as we go.
Yeah, send your last well wishes to Dustin as he leaves his mortal coil.
If you see me posting on the social medias about stomach pain, you may want to check in on me, to be honest. But otherwise, you have been listening to Genre Exposure.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.